Today we're going to be doing a tier list on College Football 25 coach abilities. Now there's over 276 individual coach abilities in this game. I'm going to be focusing on the main coach archetypes. There's 8 of them here that we're going to be talking about. There is a max level of 50 in this game, which gives you a total of around 500 total coach points to spend, and you cannot respec your ability, so you have to be locked in, and this is why a tier list is important for this kind of thing. And for this list, all of these could change based on a variety of factors like what prestige your starting team is, what coordinators you wish to go for, your personal preference of gameplay style, and just generally how you want to rebuild your team. I'm going based on the quality of the active perk for the archetype, the value/cost to benefit ratio, and the quality of the sub abilities, and you're going to get bonus if there's more variety. See, I went into the future with Papa Yeet to get all the way to level 50, and it says he has 495 coach points to spend. If you're creating a new character, you're going to have 3 options. It's going to be Recruiter, Motivator, or Tactician. Recruiter only costs 10 coach points. It builds into the Elite Recruiter, Talent Developer, and Strategist. The active perk is you get extra XP every time you sign a recruit. Now, I don't know what that bonus is, but you get 25 XP normally for signing a recruit, so I imagine at the maximum you're probably doubling that, but somewhere below maybe. Starting with Recruiter, I think, is a huge help because you're going to be doing a lot of recruiting in Dynasty. I feel like it makes your life easier. It allows you to scout more players because usually it costs like, 5 clicks of the button to normally scout one player. At the first level of Recruiter, a lot of these are the same, just for separate position types. Like we have quarterback, running back, wide receiver/tight end, your offensive line, the special teams including kicker and punter, your secondary, your linebackers, and your defensive line. At tier 1, you got Advanced Look, which takes less time to fully scout that position. Then you have Most Influential. Recruiting actions have bigger impacts on this position. Always Be Recruiting at tier 3. Increase weekly recruiting hours for this position. And then tier 4, Magnetic Personality, which increases the starting interest. I would say Recruiter is especially helpful for a lower prestige program because you're already limited on your recruiting hours anyway. The ability alone to take less time to fully scout players is going to be a massive help in recruiting. And if you fill out the rest of the tiers, you're going to be making a bigger push for a lot more players than you could have if you didn't go down this path. I think in Dynasty mode, you're recruiting so much that this is also just adding a fun factor, and it's something you get to immediately see the benefit. I think that's why a lot of people are going to be choosing this as their first one. I'm going to put Recruiter straight into the S tier. Next up, we got Motivator. So Motivator is the second starter ability we can choose from. It has a 10-point purchase cost, no prerequisite, and it builds into Talent Developer, Master Motivator, and Architect. The active perk is you gain XP whenever a player levels up, and if we look at the individual abilities for Motivator, it does separate it based on position groups, just like Recruiter does. At tier 1, you got Pay It Forward. Bonus XP for quarterbacks when quarterbacks are drafted in the top 3 rounds. You got Hot Hand at tier 2. Quarterbacks stay hot through timeouts, quarter change, and across games. Tier 3, Put In Work. Quarterbacks get an off-season training boost. And at tier 4, you're locked in. Quarterbacks start the 4th quarter hot and close games. I think the sub-abilities in here are not as strong as some of the recruiting ones. If your team is a 1-star prestige, you're not going to get too many players drafted in the 3rd round, so you're not really going to benefit from that bonus XP. The one that I really have my eyes on there is Put In Work, where the players get an off-season training boost. And I think Motivator, more than any other archetype, is being held up by its active perk, which is you gain XP whenever a player levels up. So if you do not have the Motivator archetype, you will not be gaining XP when players level up. That is a massive amount of XP you're going to be leaving on the table if you don't go down this path. There's a chance you reach a much higher level faster than if you went down the Recruiter path. I really do think that active perk is so strong that it should not be ignored, and I think without the active perk, I would put Motivator a little bit lower. All in all, I will put Motivator in the S tier. The 3rd starting ability is called Tactician. Same deal as the other starting ones. It's 10-point purchase cost. There's no prerequisite, but the active perk here is you get extra XP for each win. It builds into Scheme Guru, Architect, and Strategist. So Tactician, I would say, is for the team that is ready to win now. It gives direct ratings boost to every individual position based on attributes that they would need. So for like quarterback, it boosts throw on the run at the 1st level, then it boosts throw under pressure and break sack at level 2. Level 3, it boosts spin, juke, and ball carrier vision, and level 3, it boosts short and medium accuracy. But there is one interesting part here in Tactician. They completely replaced the kicker and punter ones here, by giving something called cross-training, where you can cross-train your offensive line to also be training on the defensive line. So if you have like an Iron Man player, this could be a path you could go down. I would say Tactician is a great option for a win-now team because you're getting those immediate ratings boosts, but it does not help with long-term development. And if you're not winning games, you're not getting the full XP that you're probably hoping for. And as a lower level coach, you're trying to get as much XP as you possibly can. But you could also make the argument the immediate ratings boost, you don't have to wait on anybody to develop, so you could be winning more games and just naturally getting more XP anyway. And I would say Tactician is also great because it builds into some pretty good hybrid trees later on, which we'll talk about later, including Scheme Guru, which is one of the more diverse trees in this entire game. I think overall, I'd put Tactician in the A tier, but I could see it in the S tier depending on your team build. We're going to be moving forward to the second level / hybrid trees. A little bit more expensive. There are now 15 points to upgrade, and a lot of them have prerequisites. The first one we'll start with is called Talent Developer. And to get Talent Developer, you need to have spent 25 points in both Motivator and Recruiter. And a more difficult one, you have to have had 2 players drafted in the first round. And the archetype perk for this one is you get bonus XP when a player maxes a skill group. Talent Developer really helps out a lot in the transfer portal. But at level 2, you have Reach Your Potential for quarterbacks, boost the interest for quarterback recruits when a current quarterback hits a skill cap. Then at tier 3, you got QB Whisperer, lower rated quarterbacks will progress faster. And then at tier 4, Star Maker, starting quarterbacks will gain XP faster. Now for Talent Developer, I will say it seems very difficult, especially for lower programs to achieve this. Like if you're a 1-star school, I would say the realistic estimated time frame to get 2 players drafted in round 1 is probably 4 to 6 years. Now if you're a higher tier program, like Ohio State or something, that might happen in year 1. But adding more value from the transfer portal is huge. And the ability to develop talent cannot go unnoticed either. I think I would place Talent Developer in the A tier. Now Architect says it's the master at getting the most out of players within a scheme. The archetype perk is yearly XP for records held by a player you coached. To get Architect, you need to spend 25 in Motivator and Tactician. And you also need to win 4 rivalry games. Now, this does take you a while, I would assume, a minimum of 4 years if you win all of those games. But some teams do have multiple rivalry games in a given year, so maybe you could achieve that much quicker. I still find that to be a little bit more affordable than a Talent Developer one. I do really like some of the abilities here in Architect. Once again, you're broken down by position group, and a lot of these are the same. So at the first level, Field Study, quarterbacks earn additional XP for in-game goals. And then you have Limitless, a chance to increase a random skill cap when leveling up. Tier 3, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, quarterbacks earn an XP bonus for every 3-game win streak. And then Tier 4, Put a Ring on It, a chance to increase the best skill cap with a conference or national title. And increasing skill gaps is not something you see in many other trees. You're going to be able to unlock potential out of players that other trees would not be able to achieve. That is why I think Architect goes into the A tier. A pretty good option for, I think, a variety of playstyles. Now we're going to go to Strategist. To get Strategist, you need to spend 25 in Tactician and Recruiter. And you also need to win 4 bowl games. So at a bare minimum, this is going to take you 4 years to accomplish. And that's if you win all of the games. All of these are focused on recruiting, and more specifically, visits for recruiting. So you got boost the complimentary visits for a position group. Visits have a bigger impact on a position group. Last Dance at tier 3, bonus interest for every type of position group that is visiting, bonus interest for every visit a specific position group has taken before visiting you. And then finally, Mind Reader, which you have an increased chance to learn a dev trait position group when they visit. I would have to give a knock to the Mind Reader one, which gives you an increased chance to learn dev trait for quarterbacks on visits. I would say by the time you're bringing in a player for a visit, it would be nice to know a player's dev trait before he gets to school, but by the time you're bringing in a player for a visit, you're probably so far down the path that you're not going to be able to switch off of them at that point. You're all in on trying to get that player anyways. I think overall, Strategist is one of those ones that I don't know if I really value at this level. More expensive than a starter one. I'd much rather go for a level 2 tree somewhere else. I think Strategist is one of my least favorite trees in the game, simply because everything else at this cost seems to be way more valuable. Unless you're a mad lad and just want to fully max out recruiting, I would not have Strategist too highly. For me, I'm going to put it in the C tier. Now you're looking at level 2 of the starter trees. We'll start with Elite Recruiter. Just like the other level 2 trees, it costs 15 points to upgrade to this, but you also need to spend 50 in recruiter, and you also need to sign 2 top 5 recruiting classes. Now that's a pretty expensive tree already. I would say if you're directly comparing this tree to the strategist one, you're still getting way more value here. Like at tier 1, we have lasting impression, quarterbacks gain additional interest for every 10 hours spent, upsell at tier 2, your school grades have a larger impact on quarterbacks, tier 3, boost pipeline bonus for quarterbacks, and at tier 4, ideal situation, boost to ideal pitch grades for quarterbacks. I don't think I really need to explain how important it is to be able to recruit well. This gives you an even larger edge in recruiting than you did before. The expensive cost of needing 2 top 5 recruiting classes, that's already tremendously high, and I feel like it would be helpful to be able to unlock this before that. Likely going to be difficult to achieve a top 5 class without this unlocked anyways. So it feels a little bit backwards in that respect. But I totally get it. It's meant to be gatekept for a reason. Only some coaches can be elite recruiters. I think the common theme with the level 2 trees is you have to focus pretty intensely on one path. So if you're not able to do that, you might want to look to your coordinators for some help, especially when you notice that the coach abilities can stack. Getting a pipeline bonus is pretty key too. Your school's pipeline does not change even if your prestige improves. So the only way to get a better grade here is to have better coaching. After taking everything into consideration, I'm going to put elite recruiter in the B tier. Very valuable and definitely better than the strategist in my opinion. Now we're going to move on to master motivator. To get this one, you have to spend 50 in motivator and you have to have 5 players drafted, but this can be any round. So honestly, this is not that expensive compared to a lot of things we've seen at level 2. Definitely easier than recruiter, just like with level 1 of motivator. Master motivator also I have some issues with their sub abilities. You got quick recovery at the lowest one, extra gear, which gets bonuses to toughness, stamina, and injury. Then you have everybody eats, increase all XP gains for quarterbacks, and then finally you have icy veins, quarterbacks start games with a composure boost. And I'll scroll through, it's the same for other positions as well, a common theme. Now the one that directly catches my eye is everybody eats, which is at tier 3. Just like motivator though, master motivator comes in clutch with an extremely valuable individual ability. Increasing all XP gains for a certain position type is going to go a long way, but at tier 3 it does require more heavy investment. I think when you factor in how cheap it is to get master motivator and the value of that tier 3 ability, I'm going to put master motivator in A, but I could understand if you'd have it lower in B or even higher in S tier. Scheme Guru is the level 2 of Tactician. Just like the other level 2s, it costs 15 points to upgrade and you need to spend 50 in Tactician, and you also need to win 10 top 25 games. That is a lot of top 25 games, which this is stressing even more that this is a tree kind of designed for a higher tier program. So maybe if you're doing like an online Dynasty or something, this might be a tree that you really go for. Scheme Guru does provide one of the more unique and diverse trees in the game though. Breaking apart from the other ones, it's not specifically designed by position group. We got fast tempo offense, fast tempo defense, pass game offense and defense, ground and pound offense and defense. Then you have discipline and communication for both the offense and defense. You could make the case for any one of these being extremely valuable. Like for ground and pound offense, you can get wear 'em down at tier 1, where the defensive line takes a fatigue hit for every 4+ yard rush. So if you have a strong running game, you're going to wear them down a lot. And you can already see how that's going to pay dividends if you make it your focus to run the ball consistently. And it goes even a level higher at demoralizing, where it now adds in the linebackers, so they also take a fatigue hit for every 4-yard rush. And then tier 3 reduces defender ability to disengage from blocks. Tier 4 reduces defender ability to shed run blocks altogether. But if you have someone in your dynasty using ground and pound offense in Scheme Guru, probably want to counter that by getting the ground and pound defense, and if they don't have the other side of this, they're going to be at a disadvantage. You can see this goes for the pass offense as well, and the pass defense, fast tempo for both sides of the ball as well. But despite the cost, I think Scheme Guru really is one of the most unique and diverse trees in the entire game, and I think it really gives you an edge if you go down this path. So I'm going to put Scheme Guru in the A tier. Now we're moving on to the level 3 and the level 4 coach abilities. Now there's only one level 3 coach ability, and it's called Program Builder. At level 3 and 4, these are only for head coaches, so we're no longer talking about coordinators, but they can have everything that's below this point. To get Program Builder, you need to win at least 5 playoff games, spend 75 in any tree, and it also costs 20 points to purchase. It's the second most expensive archetype in the game. Program Builder is one of the ones that will supersede any other archetype you've had before. So this archetype perk will give you bonus XP when a school grade or prestige increases. This is meant to be purchased way farther down the line in your coaching journey. Better have some good abilities, right? And I believe it does. Now there's only a handful here that I actually truly like though, but all of them are unique. Some of my favorite ones are under this one called Faster Progression. At the first level you have Smart Goals, you earn additional XP from all completed goals, Signing Bonus, bonus XP when taking a new job, and then finally the one that I really like, Friends and Family Discount. Archetypes are cheaper if owned by another coach. How big of a discount is it? I'm not entirely sure, but buying your way into a tree you haven't been in before could give you a higher ceiling as a head coach, but with limited coach points, being able to access other archetypes you haven't previously is a massive game changer. Relationship Builder is all about improving your school's pipelines. You upgrade your school's best 2 pipelines by 1 tier. Level 2, you upgrade your school's 5 best pipelines by 1 tier. And then at the third one, you upgrade your school's 5 worst pipelines by 1 tier. We already established earlier, you cannot change your school's pipelines without these coaching abilities. So obviously this has a ton of value and will help you snowball in recruiting. And then finally, Strong Roots, which helps improve the recruiting impacts of your primary pipeline again. So this one boosts your primary pipeline at level 1. Level 2, you've got Household Name, boosts the starting interest for the recruits from your primary pipeline. And then 3, you got your Hometown Discount, recruits from your primary pipeline gain extra influence boosts. All of those are high quality abilities, and I would happy to have any one of them. Some of the ones that I don't feel like belong in here, the job security and contract ones feel out of place. I could see some value for setting the tone and improving your team's starting momentum in games. Roster retention feels like a meh one. It's not a game changer for me, because I don't feel like many players are leaving necessarily on your default one anyway. And then high integrity, abilities that convince players to return. Another one that does not feel like it is really elevating the team as much. Overall, I think Program Builder could be very valuable. So I'm going to put it in the A tier. And finally, we have the top dog, CEO. CEO, just like Program Builder, is only for head coaches. It has a 30-point upgrade cost, so it's by far the most expensive coach upgrade in the game. And you also need to win 2 national championships. You also need to spin 100 in any tree. Like, I really don't think most playthroughs would get to the 2nd national championship. But despite that ludicrously high price, I will say there are some good perks here. Insta commits is back, but it is gate kept here in CEO. It's under Dream School, and it costs 18 coach points. So you not only spent 30 coins to get in here, but you're also going to have to spend a lot on any of these individual ones. And then you got another one that I like called Bundle Discount. It's a discount on coach abilities when another coach has the same ability. This single ability could probably get you at a higher ceiling than other coaches possibly could. And then finally, the last one I like, Senior Superlatives, which increases all skill group caps by 1 for rising seniors, just massively improving the entire potential of all of your seniors on your roster. Other ones that I feel like are a little too expensive for the cost are first round projected players are less likely to leave for the NFL. Spend a second persuade on a player if the first fails. Home field advantage effects are lower at rival stadiums. Able to see others at-risk players on my school. Players start hot and top 5 rivalry bowl/championship games. And then you got the hot seat chiller. 1-year extension when facing being fired. That doesn't belong in here, I don't think. I would say the CEO cost is a little too rich for my blood, and I feel like you would realistically only spend in this tier when playing with a powerhouse, or perhaps in an online dynasty with friends that goes several years into the future. And the active perk, which gives additional XP for winning bowl games and national titles, even to get into CEO, you're likely a high level anyways. There might not even be much room left to gain XP. I still like some of those perks in there. They could be absolute game changers if you're able to get them. I think for me, I'm putting CEO in the B tier. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to create a beautiful website and run your business. I like Squarespace because it's pretty easy to use. I've made dozens of websites on here, and it usually takes me just a few minutes. And of course, I gotta bring back the famous what the dog doing this time around again, to show you what my dog Luna is doing. And my now fiance made this website here today. You can see all the design touches she put in here. Hopefully Luna is happy with it. So shout out to Christy for making this. With Squarespace, they have deep analytics so you can see how your users are using your website. And they also have threaded replies, comments, and likes. So you can really build a community here on Squarespace. They also got their new Fluid engine, so you can drag things around seamlessly. I've been working with Squarespace for a long time. They've been a long-term staple of the channel. Take advantage of my special offer right now by going to squarespace.com/expert, where you're going to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Once again, go to squarespace.com/expert to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. I hope this was an informative video for you so you can learn all the coach abilities in College Football 25. Let me know in the comments below, how would you like to build your coach? And what do you think is the best tree of them all? I just want to say thank you guys so much for watching. You're a legend in my book, and as for me, I am Drew Morris, Big Ol' Drewski, not the expert. And I'll see all you guys in my next video. Peace.